Hello, and welcome to Notary Life with Kimmy. Well, hey guys, today we are talking about what I do not like about apostilles. And you know I do like an apostille because it is some good money. But for those of you who do not know what that is, it's just a higher level of authentication needed on documents leaving the United States, going to another country. But let's get into what I do not like. So number one is the unknown. When the phone rings and they say apostille, I'm like, which country? Because depending on which country it is, depends on how much time, energy, and processing it's going to take. So you have what's called a Hague country and a non-Hague. So once I realize that it's a Hague country, I'm like, yippee, this is going to be easy, right? Because a non-Hague takes a little bit more time. But then after I find out it's a Hague country, I'm like, great. But my next reason I don't like it is because now I need to find out what state the document originated from. If it's a birth certificate from the state of California or New York, oh my God, my heart really starts beating because their processes are just a little bit longer and way more detailed. If it's from my state, I go whoosh, because Georgia is simple, easy peasy, right? So that's the second thing I do not like. Each state has its own process and you have to know what each state is. You can't just say, well, I'm in Georgia, I only do Georgia apostilles. I guess you could say that, but it will affect your bottom line. So you need to know what each state process is. The easiest way to figure that out, though, is to go to each state's website because they do have the information there. Number three is not being able to speak with someone at the Secretary of State. So where we get our apostilles done in the state of Georgia, if I call them, they pick up the phone immediately. I love that. But when you have to call other states, sometimes, unfortunately, there is no one to pick up the phone. Sometimes you have to leave an email. It may take them 2 to 4 days to even call you back or email you back because there's such a backlog. It's such a backup. Like in New York, you have to send an email. It could be a 2-day process for them to get back with you. Your client is waiting. You're anxious. You need to know how to price it. They want to know the turnaround time. And here you can't speak with anyone. Because I'm in Georgia. That's New York. I have no control over what happens there. So that's something else that I do not like. Number 4, the research that's involved. Sometimes the research in our apostilles can be forever because you got to call this state, that state. I just told you it may take 2 or 3 days for them to get back with you. Then how is the document expired is another question you might have to ask. You know, it's so many things with apostilles. So you need to find out, when was the birth certificate issued? If it was issued within this time frame, when was it notarized? When was it this? So it's just so many questions. So the research involved can be a pain. And number 5, the main reason I don't like it, because after I've done all that research, all that work, the client cancels and say, oh, that's okay, never mind, I found another way to do it. Or I don't need it at all. And I've invested hours and days and, you know, and haven't made any money because you don't charge the client normally just to research it. Now, if y'all doing that, let me know because I might add that as some kind of service to my business. But normally you don't charge for research, and that's just part of the business. That's what we call the cost of doing business. So just to recap, the things I dislike about apostilles is the fact that I don't know which country is going to, which will affect the processing. Is it a Hague country or a non-Hague? Again, that's just a treaty that different countries have signed up with to say, you know what, we'll take your document and we'll make the process easier. Or we're going to take your document, but we're going to make it a little bit more difficult. That's the difference between a Hague and non-Hague. I also, number 2, don't like that each state has its own processing. They just do. Number 3 is it's complicated and hard to get in touch with the states. Some of them require you to only email. Some of them might be on hold for a whole day waiting on somebody to answer the phone. Number 4, just the research that it takes. It can take so much time. And number 5, you do all that and then client cancels. So these are the things I hate about apostilles. But for all things notary related, visit me over at notaryeducatorsllc.com. Until next time, bye.